Scott asked me to give my testimony, and what I was telling Scott, I said, Scott, I don't have that aha moment testimony that some people have. I've got a lot of neat things that have happened, and my testimony almost kind of really starts about 6-7 years ago. But I'm going to go through a lot of my past here a little bit, through some pictures and so forth, and kind of build up to it. As you can see, as you saw that coming in, that's me, June 10th, 1976. Such a cute little guy. Next picture there will show me, you can see how times have changed, even though I know I'm not that old. But, I'm sure that doesn't pass safety specs on the high chair there anymore, But the next picture, that's an old picture of our family. Dad and Mom, my brother and I. You can see the beard there on Dad. His nickname was Redbeard on the CV years ago. And so that picture kind of shows back then. Go to the next slide for me. Now this one here kind of, I guess almost going to start my testimony, because if you look at it, does that not look like Dennis the Menace? As a child, they always called me Messy Marvin. I was getting into everything. Of course, now it's Starving Marvin, as you can see. Dennis the Menace. When I see that picture with the teeth and the hair and the newer movie, that's just Dennis the Menace. I kind of played that part pretty well. Didn't know? Yeah.
More than once.
Yeah. But it was right about this time frame that I was coming to church a lot, right here in this very church. And my grandmother, Grandma Jane, some of you knew Grandma Jane from the day. And Grandma Jane would pick me up in her motorhome a lot. And God must have a real good sense of humor, because what got me in church a lot was donuts. And now here I am, a cop, a police officer, and the donuts. I don't know, but Grandma would always pick us up, and we would go by, and she would go to Thornburg's at the time, and they'd have their donuts, and we'd get donut holes and milk and juice. Now, when I was in Sunday school at that age time, though, it was down in the basement in the mechanics room. And there was an old ping pong table. I think it might even been on blocks or 5-gallon buckets. And we'd sit around there. Used no elevator at the time. And there was a door that went outside. And that's where we had that age group, maybe a little younger, Sunday school room. And that's where the little tykes were. Grandma Jane would make sure I got here on time. Got here for Sunday school. Quite frankly, Mom and Dad wasn't real involved in the Sunday school part of it. But Mom would come to church. Dad wouldn't a lot back then. But as you can see, things have changed, and I'm going to get into that a little bit. But as I went on in life, I continued in church. I continued in youth group. As you can see, there's one of my little baseball pictures back when I was, I'm going to guess 10, maybe in that picture, something like that. I think it was even said 10 on the back, didn't it, Bub? Because he was laughing about I was such a little guy, and now I'm this and so forth, because I had all my stats on the back, my height and weight, like I was a superstar baseball player or something. But I was involved in church. I was involved in youth group. I had it all going on. Next picture. There I am again, just looking good. But I went through all these pictures. You talk about bringing back memories of Mom and I and Jeanette, and he's laughing and so forth. And I thought, yeah, that one there. I don't know if that grin just says it all or what, but yeah. And the next one there. This one here. That's, you can see, obviously Dad doesn't have a beard there. But anyway, that picture here, I believe, is 86. Is that about right? As you can see, Dad there, Dad had cancer. Back in 81, Dad fought cancer. I wasn't really old enough. I'm 5 years old when he had his first bout of cancer. But he actually battled 3 different times, and with the latest one being in 85. But this one here is after cancer struck him, and he beat it. And there's a scripture that I know it may not really relate this way, but throw that scripture up there. 2 Timothy 4:7. I have fought a good fight, I've finished the race, I have kept the faith. I know that scripture really means a lot about in a dying time and you're ready to go, you fought the good fight, but he's not finished yet. And I tell you, there's another guy sitting right there, Mr. Thurston, 2 months ago, when he's worried about him. And I'm telling you, he's fought a good fight. And he ain't finished yet either. And because of the way they keep in their faith, it's carrying on. This next picture, that's me styling in my rolled up shorts. See the guy there on my right? That's Brent. Yeah. And their son, Jason. I wanted to use this picture because God used Jason in a weird way for me, I guess. I was 3 years older than Jason. And we're city boys, so you normally play with the kids on your city block and so forth. Now, Jason and I actually have a lot of memories together. Got caught smoking together. But it was okay. Dad smoked. Brent smoked. It was all right, right? Man, did we get in trouble. He got sent home at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and Mom told Dad, and it was bad. It was bad. I don't smoke to this day. I can tell you that much. But with this picture, what really gets me a lot is, Jason and I, 3 years apart. As I get older, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but as I get older, the friendship relationship from that picture went from Jason and Brent being like a dad to being like a brother/friend to me. So, and I'll hit on that in a minute. Go to the next slide. Speaking of brother, there's my brother, my biological brother. That's Jason, and I won't even go by there by his smile and hair, but I'm sporting the old bolo tie and all that good stuff. We're just styling it up together. I really don't know what year. I'm going to guess maybe I was a sophomore, freshman. I'm a freshman. He might have been a senior. I was 16. Okay, he would have been 19. It would have been his freshman year in college. So, wow. Which he was young, I tell you. He looked young. Go to the next one there. I continued in school. Keep in mind, during this whole time frame, I'm so involved in youth group. I think I've got it figured out. I'm going to actually several different churches. I was here. Nancy Mater, some of you might remember Nancy Mater. She was a youth pastor here. She lived in the trailer there behind the church. And I was going to the First Church of Christ youth group a lot. There's a guy there named Mark Goins. That guy was very instrumental in really keeping me in my faith. He was just that youth mentor that I had to really looked up to. But I was so busy in school playing baseball. And right about this age, that's actually my senior picture. It doesn't look like it, but I look kind of young. But I did graduate at 17, so I'll give me a little credit. I did graduate early. But go to the next picture. That's another baseball picture of me. Right here is about the time I started losing it. When I say losing it, I'm talking about kind of my walk with Christ. Like I said, I didn't know that I thought I had it all figured out, but just got so busy with the teenage stuff and the senior stuff and kind of getting away from some things. Go to the next picture. What do you think of that? I think God knew what he was doing when he made me, because that is me, my senior year, dressed up as a woman. And Mom sings a song, and I think she's got it right. He's still working on me, because that is not me. And but I just threw that in there kind of as a funny, as we was going through it. It ended up on Facebook. Thanks, Mom. I appreciate that. So we can get rid of that picture there. Go to the next one there. This is where my life changed. As you can see, that's my senior prom picture. I can literally say Jeanette and I met by accident. Jeanette, we were boyfriend-girlfriend back on one of them other pictures when I was a freshman. She was in 8th grade, but it just didn't work out. I won't go into details, but it didn't work out. And in March 12, 1993, she was involved in a car accident. I'm not going to go into big details about that because that's her testimony. But through that accident, we ultimately get together. And it would have been June 10th of 93 then that we went, quote, steady, if you will. And if that's the term you want to use. Next picture is another prom picture at the school. Man, we're young. You know, it's my senior year, Jeanette's a junior, and keep in mind, and I will say this, you know, some of you may not know, but when she was in her car accident, she was in a coma for 11 days in the hospital for almost 3 months. And shouldn't even be here, but God put her here for a reason. And we'll get into that too. That time frame there, again, I'm still so busy now with school and sports and baseball. I was captain on the baseball team. And really didn't have an FCA at our school, so I didn't have that opportunity to really be involved in a fellowship of Christian athletes at the time. Go to the next slide. I don't know if you can read that or not, but back 3 years after Jeanette and I were dating, this is how I proposed to Jeanette. I actually subpoenaed her into court, into the Chapel of Love. And I had 2 police officers come out to the campground and actually serve her with this paperwork. And so that was obviously August 31st, 1996. These 2 officers come out and start reading this to her, and I did lovely get down on one knee and propose to her. And obviously she said yes. So, which obviously was a good thing. But go to the next picture. It's a good thing. Here we are. We're young, we're married. I'm 20, she's 19. And again, I thought I had it all figured out. I'm 20 years old, I'm a married man. And we're in a Bible study right now through the men about the quest for authentic manhood. And the next night after this, go back. The next night after this, we actually stayed our first night in our first home before we actually left for our honeymoon. But when our honeymoon was a trip to be remembered. And in this study, we was talking about, when did you become the authentic man? When did you actually become a man? Well, I thought I was a man. I'm 20 years old. I'm married, you know. Well, I turn around and we leave for our honeymoon. Major catastrophes on our honeymoon with car trouble. There was a man with a hook in Tennessee at a gas station, scared us to death. I'm 20. Car broke down. We finally get to a really nice hotel, and the car's messed up. What do I do? I'm 20 years old. Pick up the phone. Dad, this is the deal. I'm down here somewhere in Tennessee, and I need help. The car's broke down. Son, you're married. You're a man now. Click. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I want my mommy. You know, I'm scared to death. Well, I did call back, and Mom's just consoling me. She's being, well, some mother wounds, but we won't go into that part of the study. But I guess maybe that's the day I become the authentic man, or a man, I guess, because I had to really man up pretty quick and figure out how I'm going to get this taken care of. But we did. We went on down. And again, God had a plan for our car troubles. We get down to Florida, and our plan was to spend an evening, an afternoon, maybe one night over with her grandparents. And ended up, because of car trouble and money, we actually spent several days there visiting. And her grandfather died just a short time after that. So we got to spend that quality time with her grandparents a lot for that reason. I'm sure that's what it was. But again, I think I've got it figured out. And go to the next picture. I started living the dream, right? I mean, here I am, 20 years old. So let's back up, I guess, before I actually got married. I'm going to back up because this is where the brotherhood / friend of Brent kind of comes into play. I'm 3 years older than Jason. Well, I'm graduating high school in 94. Jason had 97, if I remember correctly. And Brent rode motorcycles, got me involved in motorcycles. Of course, I couldn't afford a Harley. I had to settle for a Suzuki to start out with. But he said, you know what, you ought to get on the fire department. And I'm like, oh yeah, really, you think so? That's not what I had planned. I planned to graduate high school and go to school to be a chef.